Break.
Woo!
Good boys. Good boy. I got this. Rick, it's your turn, big guy. Yeah, you will. You're not letting him do it. And he let you. Very nice. Alright, very nice, boys. Good job. Great, nice work.
What was that?
I don't know. These guys are just very ridiculous. Look. Little shoulder bump.
So Reagans didn't want to be snipped.
He's taking the position. He's giving it to him now.
Yeah.
And I'm letting him know this is the good thing. Get the fuck out of there. Reagan's like, he's gonna let me have it, Daddy. Look at him spiked up here. It's time for me to mount. Seal the deal.
That would have happened next if you weren't here.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's mounting. And he just let him, then we're good. As far as them fighting, that was amazing. Okay, so I let Reagans be a little inappropriate there. That was a little inappropriate. To push him a little bit, to bump his tolerance up a little bit. You can't just, as soon as a dog tries to sniff you, get like that. You know, I gotta raise your tolerance, okay? Good job.
The owner said that this is the main reason she chose our program.
Oh, the dog socialization.
She said every other trainer, your dog never sees another dog. They always train alone.
It's risky.
And she wanted to see your diagnosis on him.
He definitely is really intense when it comes to greeting, and if he does that, then he's going to get in trouble with a dog who's not going to put up with it. Dog with a similar temperament to him. Now, he's learning though, because this is the second time we've done this, correct? And this is significantly better than the first time. Because the reason why is it was still too intense. Not as intense, so sometimes it was. But he learned that to let him sniff him. He learned to let Reagans finish. And then Reagans finished, and then he was coming over a lot slower and a lot more polite to sniff Reagans, and Reagans wasn't really allowing him, so I made Reagans let him because he knows the deal. And he sniffs, and then now they feel, look. I didn't tell them down, it's just like, oh, we did the thing. That was it. The whole thing was just for that. Alright? But they'll perseverate on it the whole time they're in the room. If I had him on a tie back over here, him on a tie back over there, it's just, and then that becomes their association to the sight of the dog. It's just, you pull them away, and every time they come in, they do that. They don't even know why they're doing it anymore. So, anyway, it's very interesting. They're hardwired, it's not their fault, it's Mother Nature, to have that conversation so that they can settle a hierarchical dispute without killing each other. Right? They're not necessarily starving. If he can hump him, and he lets him, then they're pretty much saying that if there's food on the ground and we're both starving, you know that I can take you, so it's mine. Unless you want to try that again, right? So that they establish it without killing each other. They can actually be a pack. That's what they want to do, especially a male, especially a young male, but these two, both are fixed, both over the age of 3. He's almost 7, he's 4, and they're both want to do it still, First thing Reagans wants to do when he sees a dog, absolutely. I want to sniff you, I want to play that game, that dance to figure out where we are, right? And I've watched Reagans get puffed up saying, I can take this guy, I'm going to hump him. And then I've watched him smell other dogs and be like, I don't want to go near that dog. I'm like, yeah, because he's going to fuck you up. And you can see
and he knows it.
They know it, yeah. And now you got me worried because I have to train the thing, Man up over there, bud. You're my right-hand man. So, with him, he's starting to, they're kind of equal. He's older, but they're likely to bump heads because they're so close in the pack, But I do think ultimately he ended up giving it to Reagans, and that's partially because I've been backing up that. I've been trying to get it to lean that way, so I've been intervening a little bit. We got what we wanted. This is looking good. Doesn't mean he's, like the word, fixed, okay? It means there's rules in the dog world, and if I'm walking, I remember when I was a kid, if I walked down certain blocks and I walked a certain way, there was a certain way to walk. If I walked too cocky, I could get in trouble, but if I walked too weak, I could get in trouble. It taught me how to walk enough where I didn't look like I would just give you everything, but I didn't look like I was starting trouble. This guy needs to learn when he's in a group of dogs, if he's walking around like this, someone's gonna give it to him. Someone's gonna give it to him. So that's that. But if he learns how to walk softly and submissive, he'll be all right. If he's too submissive, the truth is the dogs are gonna try to hump him if I wasn't there. That's just the truth. So there's a middle ground. Reagans has learned it. Instead of biting, you bark. If you're really in a spot where you want to bite the dog because he's on you, you bark, and then I'll come over and deal with it. And that's what he's got going on. That's what my past dog, Dexter, had going on when he was my right-hand man. No biting. It's absolutely off limits. But you can stand up for yourself. I'm not telling you to let your dog do that, though. What I would like to see with him going home is to ignore the dogs out in the world. Unless it's a dog that he knows and has a relationship with, family members' dogs, friends' dogs, that you've took time to build a relationship, the last thing I would want to do with my dog or anybody else's dog is to tell them to put them in a random room with random dogs that they don't know and let them form their own relationships. I don't think that's a good idea, especially with what he has going on. All this stuff here, if Reagans was a little bit more dominant and didn't have me around, it's enough to fight. Because it's almost like bumping up and saying, "What's up, man? What you got going on?" And now I stand up for Reagans a little bit. Also, he's kind of getting excited, right? It's kind of like, "Oh yeah, I like this. We didn't fight and we got to do it." So I'm gonna knock him down a little bit. Whenever he's going in there, he's getting hit on the e-collar. He just got hit on a low level there, and it's just gonna tell him that's no. But everything else you're doing is fine. But when you're doing that, it's a no. And I can do that. I didn't even say no to him. Right? Because I don't want him to think it's me. If I start saying no all the time, he's just going to think that you don't do it when I'm around. That e-collar is just coming in whenever he does something inappropriate. And what it does is it gets him out of there in time, because what would happen in reality if I didn't touch the e-collar is the dog would give him the correction. So we're kind of simulating the correction that the dog would give them. Okay? And it's the safest way. No, it's not safe. We're working with dogs. It's inherently a little dangerous if you're working in this category, right? But it works well for us and to not have leashes on them and to let them interact. I would have a leash hanging on him if I felt like he was really dangerous. Just hanging, dragging. I want to have my hands on it. And there would be other protocols we would do too. But at the end of the day, if I really want to work them, they have to be able to move around, right? So it's not necessarily 100% safe because they could get into a scuffle, but I trust my dog, and we have to take that risk with the dogs in order to make the progress, and that's why most places don't do it, because there's a risk involved. And there you go. You have yourself a handful of dog fights, and now you're like, no more of that. Let's just do commands. And so there you go. And I'm not saying, I understand. I totally understand. Luckily for us, keep knocking on this wood. It's been going well. Okay? Good. Very good. Look at you. This is nice. No, you see? You shook. You see? Any little noise, any little move? Break it. Alright. There, good. And Reagans just gave him a little whip. Let him outside, change the environment. The brisk air gets you feeling frisky. And so they start to interact again. Everything's going pretty normal, except he's getting into Reagans' crotch a little bit more, and Reagans is kind of like getting a little out of it. He's over it. So what's Reagans do? Reagans goes, boom, gives him a little gruff. Great, it's the nails. I can't hear myself. Click, clack, clickety, clack. So he gives him a little growl, right? And this guy, which I get to know more about him in that moment, because if he was like red zone dog aggression, that would just be we would just set a hair off and he would just be gone, right? He just kind of froze like this, didn't know what to do. And then I said, shush. I gave him a little tap on the collar just because he started it the way he did. And Reagans isn't allowed to correct him. He knows that's my rule with him. You can't put your teeth on a dog. So I mimic it, not really, I give him a little correction, right? But then he understands the point. And then I give him a recall. To put the brain in, when you mess up and you feel correction, come to me. Just come to me. It's never really going to be wrong, okay? And I'm not saying if you're in a down and you feel a correction, come to me. I'm saying if you're in a situation and you feel a correction, come to me. So he recalls to me, settles down, okay, and then I'm gonna release him. Let me see if you can do this here. Oh, short recall. There's a nice one, buddy.
That's hard.
Sometimes it's hard. They go around you and all that stuff. Good boy. Lots of good stuff with him. A little underexperienced as far as, you know, having that conversation. I think he has a bad perspective on dogs. Well, he has the proper perspective on dogs. Most dogs are gonna, in a group full of dogs, I can guarantee you, because he got into a scuffle at his place, right? There was dogs in there that were pushing his buttons in a way that were inappropriate, and it didn't get checked, so he checked it. Actually, that's just what happened. So now he believes, because he's seen 50, 60, 100 dogs, he's like, okay, so dogs are like this. And dogs are like this, right? And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, but what I can tell him is like, I will keep those dogs away. If I see them, because I can see them, right? I'm not gonna let a stranger dog come up on us in our interactions out in the world. The only time we're gonna really stop and enjoy other dogs is if I know that person, or if I wanna build a relationship with them and their dog, right? I'm not just gonna let stranger dogs come up on you. I'll prove that to him. I'm not gonna let, when we're in the social yard, anybody mistreat you. I'm there for you, but you can't do those things that you don't want done to you to the other dogs. And these are the only way. I see, if I could just tell him that and say, hey, watch my videos, you'll get everything. But I have to show him through these experiences, right? By putting him in a yard full of dogs, right? So he's making the changes, this guy. He really is. It's slow though. 3 weeks, you know, is nothing. He needs to, if we were, let's say, if he was my dog, right? And I wanted to bring him 100% to the best spot he could possibly be, I'd be looking at like, probably like a year with him. Me, right? I got 3 weeks to give a foundation and give a philosophy and support and 3,000 videos worth of content to be able to help an owner get on the right track and continue and make those long lasting changes, which people are able to do. So, but it's really fun because they come a long ways in 3 weeks though. It's unbelievable. Okay, good boy. Good boy, stay. This is hard for him when I do that and I just walk away like that. And if I say his name from back here, is he going to get up because he can't see me? All these little things. Dallas. Good. Break.
Woo,
Yes, break.
Daddy.
Good. Very nice.
Golly.
Break free. Nice. Going really good. Going really, really good. Reagans has been super helpful. Putting pressure on him right here. Good boy, Dallas. Helping him feel different about that interaction. Good boy, Dallas. And then he says, well, then it's my turn. Right? Most dogs, if they're being dominant, they're not going to let him do it, though. If they're really... But if they, like Reagans, if he likes him, if they turn out to be buds, you know, there's a certain gap that maybe can be built, or he'll let him sniff him here and there. But there's definitely always kind of a dynamic between two dogs. Okay? Look at you. You look good for all the food you eat, all the junk I feed you off the table. You're doing pretty good. Oh, man. Oh, man. Good boy, bud. Let's get the other two in here just for fun. See how he does, because he hasn't seen him since yesterday. Very good. This is called pressure. They're putting pressure on him, okay? And I'm allowing it, but if I see it too much, I'm going to come in. I'll come in anyway. But I want him to experience some, and then him see that I'm here for them. Now, I'm using my dogs at first because I have control over them. Ow. You're good. You're doing good. Nice. So I can start to change his belief system with me, but eventually we're going to have him in the social with all the training dogs and the boarders and everybody. Because he's a pretty... If we don't take the risk with him, he won't make all the change, and I think that he's good. He's actually a very good guy in there, a good dog, who needs the experiences that he's missed in his early years, and it's more dangerous when they're adults because their teeth are bigger and they're insecure and they can do more damage. But if he was a puppy having this stuff, you know, it's not as big of a deal to get in there and deal with it. Okay? All right, guys, look. Dallas. That's a good boy. Break. Woo! Nice work. That's great, boy. Good boy. Nicely done, guys. Good job. You guys want to go outside? Come on. Go on, go on, go on.